Okay, this morning I'm just going to start by showing you how to make your own texture file. Other people have done it. I've been playing around and there's a few things that I have learned about it. The first thing I've learned is that depending on how you're laying your terrain down in Bakin, you might want to stay away from texture files that aren't more squarish in their pattern. Like if you see my screen here, these bricks are more of a rectangle shape. If you go with a little more of a square shape, they actually flow better from both north to south and east to west in your when you lay them down in the terrain. Um, these ones worked out really good because they're mostly covered by organic material, and if the organic material lays down a little different, it doesn't really matter. It's organic material, so you can see those bricks look pretty good and the vine coverage over them. But in Bakin, oh, let me just close that. So in Bakin, you can see, let me just full screen this, that what I've got going on with the terrain here, it looks really good with the ivy and stuff as I walk along. It looks really good. But what you're going to notice is that my capstone, as I rotate around, oh, don't know how I got that. House in my way, there we go. As I come up onto my capstone here, you'll see that, let me just walk a little more forward here. You'll see that on this top level, it looks really good. That's going in this direction, that's laid out, the capstone, it lines up really nice. And then down here on this level, it doesn't quite look as nice. So it's all right though. I mean, it's great for the purposes I'm using it for, and for most people it should be fine. But if you're a real perfectionist, you're probably going to want to make those capstones much more of a square than a rectangle. Now, that being said, they worked out fine on the stairs and everything. In the shade here, on this side, you can see the shape of the walls where they dip in and stuff and morph a bit. They're not perfectly straight walls. The terrain doesn't quite work that way in this engine. And I'm just going to show you by zooming out here. And you can see how they curve in a bit as they work, right? Like that's how, can I rotate that way a bit? Not really, a little bit. But you can see how the edges round and stuff on the terrain. And I really like that the engine does this. That's awesome. In this case, trying to make a straight wall like that where you're, walkable on the top surface and whatever. It's not ideal per se. And you can see how these where they look like corners, that's more just because I stepped down there with the steps. But over here on this other part, it looks fine. But that's because that's supposed to be mimicking like cliffs or cut-offs or like natural foundations, so it's a little more of an organic shape, whereas like Minecraft, it's much more solid blockiness and it would lend itself more towards these walls. You could bring in an FBX of a wall and plant it if you wanted, but this is a quick, easy way to rough out if it's not that important of a deal. Sorry, I had to sip my coffee there, but for my intents and purposes, like I say, when I walk around the side here, it looks pretty darn good when the lighting's in the right spot. The lighting is worse on the other side, so I just want to show you from this side. But see how the capstone looks well, that texture on the top looks well, and could be used again for a courtyard or whatever layout. Maybe I'll do that and show you real quick. But the ivy maps really well to the brick wall, so you're getting kind of that old overgrown feel there, which is kind of what I want to go for in a lot of the background of my games, or of this game anyway that I'm going to be working on. Once I get to the point where I'm working on the game, I mean, right now I'm still trying to put everything together and just sort of figure out the nuances of the engine. There is definitely a problem that I have where I'm just going to paint this on the ground here. We're going to put a whole bunch in, la 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 la, and then I'll come back and you can actually just see how that looks as actually like a city street cobblestone type looking thing. All right, test play. So there we go. So it tiles up all right, but it always looks better when you're zoomed in a little bit. So you can see there, that looks great. I have no sound associated with that texture file yet, but that's easy enough to do. But you can see you've kind of got almost a bump map looking, but without a bump map. Now what you can do is you can add a mask to these texture files as well if you need to. Keep in mind, the more you're going to be using something, and the more layers you've got to it, the more resources the machines are going to need to drive the engine. And I would like to be able to drive this on just like a stock laptop, maybe 2-3 years old, and have it with no frame hits, no lag, no nothing. So once they get that, once they get all the bugs out of the engine, then that'd be great. But yeah, no, it works pretty good here. Yeah. Well, that's all I wanted to cover today, or in this little bit. I'll probably do some more stuff later. I saw a neat thing where there was like an Irish coastline with a waterfall going into it and stuff. I'm going to see if I can't recreate that. I know that I'm going to need to do a little bit of blender work and do like molded sort of a beachy area to make it well. But anyway, I'll come back and do that in another one once I get all the pieces assembled. For now, signing off.